Welcome to This Week This Morning, the weekly video that gets you up to speed on the week's most important developments for your business and your taxes. It's not often that the tax news of the week affects the stock market, but when you talk about doubling taxes for capital gains, the stock market tends to not love that. The Biden administration indicated this week that they are aiming to raise the long-term capital gains rate to 39.6%, which would actually be 43.4% when you count the net investment income tax. And this would only be for taxpayers making more than $1 million a year. And I'm not here to debate the merit of this tax increase, but I can tell you it's going to have an impact on what the wealthy are doing with their investments. And I can also tell you that there are people out there who would definitely not fit the stereotypical definition of wealthy that are going to get hit by this. Think of your middle class, everyday employee at a startup who has a one-time liquidity event when their company either gets acquired or IPOs. Even though it's a one-time event, and they're not otherwise wealthy, they're going to feel the sting of this. So if you have reason to fear that you're going to be a target of this higher tax regime on your capital gains, here's what you should be considering. Number one, you might want to sell some or all of your stock before the end of 2021 to lock in the current long-term capital gains tax rates. If you go this route, you'll want to wait until later in the year until there's more clarity about which year these new tax rates would be effective. And I would warn, however, that you should consider more than just the tax consequences in terms of when you sell the stock, because if that stock goes up by 50% after you sold it, you're not going to be so happy about your 20% savings on taxes. Number two, you might want to consider a truly long-term hold on your stocks to try to outlast this tax regime until a Republican takes office again. This is definitely the long game, but most studies out there indicate that true wealth from the stock market is attained from staying in the right stocks over a long period of time. Number three, if you have to sell while tax rates are high, you're going to want to keep an eye on tax deferral opportunities, such as an opportunity zone investment, which could defer the tax until such point that rates came back down to earth. There are also other strategies out there that you'd want to vet before a liquidity event happens that forces you to sell before you have a plan in place. And one last very important consideration for entrepreneurs is to strongly consider going the C Corp route. Yes, I know that corporate tax rates are likely going from 21% to 28%, but many startups are either unprofitable or have NOLs to utilize when they do have a profit up until around the point where an exit could come into the picture. If the goal is an eventual exit, holding qualified small business stock in your company could save you 43.4%, since the gains could be entirely tax-free. Of course, there are many nuances with how this works, but you'd be wise to get this right from the start because in many cases, you'll need to start out as a C corporation to qualify. Dark Horse CPAs will make sure you get this right. Anyhow, that's all I got for now. See you next week.